There comes a moment in every soul's journey when life begins to whisper, "It's happening now." The shift you've been waiting for, the alignment, the breakthrough, the evidence, it's not approaching. It has already begun. Reality is not something outside of you that must be persuaded. It is the reflection of what you believe to be true in the quiet chambers of your imagination. The world has always been your mirror, showing you the images you have impressed upon your own mind. And now, that mirror is turning in your favor. You are not a passive observer in this universe. You are the one shaping it, moment by moment, through your inner state. Every time you dare to assume that life is working for you, every time you choose faith over fear, the universe rearranges itself to match that assumption. The shift is not in the world, it is in you. It is the movement of your awareness from lack to fulfillment, from waiting to knowing, from hoping to being. Right now, the tide of reality is moving in harmony with your inner conviction. Doors you thought were closed are quietly unlocking. People and opportunities are being magnetized to your new frequency of belief. The invisible is organizing itself to make visible what you have already accepted as true. So stop waiting for proof, become it. Stop chasing signs, be the sign. When you walk in the awareness that life is favoring you, reality has no choice but to follow that command. You are standing at the threshold of a new dimension of being. The shift is here, and it is responding to the version of you who dares to know rather than merely wish. So breathe deeply. Assume the feeling that all is already working in your favor, because it is. Reality is not resisting you anymore. It's celebrating your awakening. The shift has begun, and reality itself is now favoring you. Everything you experience in the outer world is a mirror reflecting the inner landscape of your consciousness. Life is not something happening to you. It is something happening through you. The world you perceive, the people you meet, the events that unfold, the circumstances that appear, all arise from the vibration, the belief, and the assumption that you hold within. Every scene in your external life is a projection of an invisible inner state that you have accepted as true, whether consciously or unconsciously. When you truly grasp this, you begin to understand that you are never a victim of life, you are its author. The outer world has no life of its own, it merely echoes what has been impressed upon it by the inner world of imagination. Change the inner, and the outer must follow. Just as the reflection in the mirror cannot smile before you do, reality cannot shift before your consciousness does. The moment you alter your inner self-concept, life begins to rearrange itself to match the new state you occupy. Most people try to fix life from the outside, changing jobs, relationships, locations, but they carry the same inner state wherever they go, and so the same patterns reappear, though the faces and settings may change. The key is not to fight the reflection, but to transform the source of the reflection. When you begin to live from a higher state, from confidence, peace, love, or abundance, those qualities begin to shape the events that surround you. Imagine standing before a mirror and trying to change your reflection without moving yourself. It would be absurd. Yet that is what most people do every day when they try to force the external world to change while remaining inwardly the same. The truth is simple but profound. The outer world is obedient to your inner assumption. Reality rearranges itself, not to your words, but to your state of being. When you hold a feeling of gratitude, the world shows you more reasons to be grateful. When you carry a state of lack, even abundance seems to slip through your fingers. The world doesn't judge, it reflects. It doesn't decide for you, it responds to you. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you inwardly accept that you already are what you desire to be, the universe begins its silent work of rearranging circumstances to make that state visible. So if you wish to see kindness, become kind. If you wish to experience love, dwell in the feeling of being loved. If you desire success, assume the identity of someone already successful. The mirror of life cannot help but reflect the image you hold of yourself. This understanding is the foundation of conscious creation. The outer world bends to the inner conviction. When you change your mind, when you shift your feeling, when you awaken to your divine authorship, reality itself must obey. For everything you see outside is nothing more than yourself, pushed out. Imagination is the creative power behind all that exists. Everything you see in the visible world, every building, invention, work of art, and even the smallest detail of your life, first existed as an image within someone's mind. Nothing appears in form that did not first exist in consciousness. Imagination is not a daydream or a fleeting fantasy. It is the divine faculty through which reality is shaped. When you imagine something vividly and accept it emotionally as real, you plant the seed that must eventually blossom into physical expression. The unseen world of imagination is the workshop of creation. It is there that you form the patterns and blueprints that life must follow. The outer world is nothing more than crystallized imagination, thoughts and feelings that have condensed into visible form. The mistake most people make is believing that imagination is weak or make-believe, when in truth it is the most powerful force you possess. Everything begins within you. The thoughts you repeat, the pictures you dwell upon, the emotions you attach to them, these are the ingredients that mold your personal reality. When you imagine, you are not pretending. You are entering a higher dimension of creation. Your imagination is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. The moment you imagine something with feeling, not as a wish but as a fact already accomplished, the creative power of the universe begins to move to fulfill it. You may not see immediate evidence, but the unseen forces are already at work, aligning events, people, and circumstances to bring your inner vision into form. The secret is emotional acceptance. You must feel the reality of your imagination before it becomes visible. Thought alone is not enough. It is the union of thought and feeling that gives birth to form. When you emotionally accept a thing as true, your subconscious mind receives it as a command. The outer world then mirrors that belief back to you through what we call life events. What you see outside is the echo of what you have imagined and felt within. Think of your imagination as the womb of creation. It is always conceiving, gestating, and giving birth to the conditions of your life. Every fear, every doubt, every vision of success or failure begins there. You are always imagining, whether consciously or unconsciously. The difference between unconscious creation and conscious creation is awareness. Knowing that what you hold in mind with feeling must appear. So dare to imagine boldly. See yourself already living the life you desire. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were already done. Walk, speak, and think as though it were true now. Do not wait for the world to show you evidence before you believe. Believe first, and the evidence will appear. Imagination is not fantasy, it is reality in its invisible stage. When you understand this truth, you become the deliberate creator of your life, shaping your world from the inside out with the boundless power of your own mind. Feeling is the secret language through which creation speaks. Words alone hold little power unless they are charged with emotion. The universe does not respond to what you say or what you hope for. It responds to what you feel to be true. Feeling is the vibration, the inner frequency that communicates your state of being to the creative power within you. When you feel something deeply, joy, gratitude, fulfillment, or even fear, you are broadcasting that state to the infinite intelligence that shapes reality. The world then mirrors that vibration back to you through experiences, opportunities, and events that match the emotional tone you have sustained. Every feeling carries a message to the universe. When you feel lack, life reflects situations that confirm lack. When you feel abundance, you draw experiences that affirm abundance. Feeling is the magnetic force behind manifestation. It is the invisible energy that determines what takes shape in your visible world. Thoughts are like seeds, but feelings are the water and sunlight that cause them to grow. Without emotion, thought remains sterile. It never takes root in the subconscious mind. But once a thought is felt, once it becomes alive with emotion, it becomes a command to the creative power of life itself. Most people try to change their reality by forcing positive words or affirmations, yet they do so while holding a feeling of doubt or unworthiness. The words may sound beautiful, but the feeling underneath contradicts them. The universe listens not to the words, but to the vibration beneath them. If your heart says, I am lacking, while your lips say, I am abundant, creation will always respond to the feeling, not the phrase. To consciously create, you must align your feelings with your desired outcome. This means dwelling not in the longing for what you want, but in the satisfaction of already having it. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key that opens the door to manifestation. You must learn to inhabit the emotional reality of your desire before it appears in form. When you can feel the joy, peace, and certainty of already being the person you wish to be, the universe has no choice but to reflect that state back to you. Feeling is not something you force, it is something you allow. You quiet the outer world, enter the silence of your imagination, and gently feel what it would be like if everything you desired were already true. You allow that feeling to grow until it becomes natural, until it feels real. In that moment, you have impressed your subconscious, and the creative law is set into motion. The unseen world begins to respond immediately. People move, events shift, opportunities align, all orchestrated by the silent power of your feeling. When you maintain this inner harmony, you realize that reality is not random, but responsive. The universe is not indifferent. It is attentive, always echoing the vibration of your heart. Feeling is the secret, the sacred language through which you and creation commune. The true shift in life does not begin with changing circumstances. It begins with a transformation of awareness. The outer world, with all its seeming solidity and complexity, is merely a reflection of the invisible movement that happens within you. The great shift, the one that alters everything, is not a rearrangement of external events, but an awakening of consciousness. When your inner self moves to a higher state of being, the outer world must reorganize itself to mirror that change. Nothing in life can remain the same when your awareness of yourself evolves. Most people look for transformation outside of themselves. They try to change jobs, relationships, or locations, believing those adjustments will bring peace or success. But until the inner state changes, the same patterns continue to appear, only wearing different faces. True change is not about forcing life to bend to your will. It is about shifting the center from which you perceive life. The moment you begin to see yourself differently, when you assume a new identity, a new state of being, the whole world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that inner movement. Awareness is the foundation of experience. Whatever you are aware of being, you are expressing in your world. If you are aware of being unloved, life shows you neglect and rejection. If you are aware of being abundant, life offers you opportunity and flow. The shift happens when you stop identifying with the old self, the one bound by fear, limitation, and doubt, and awaken to the truth that you are the creator of your own reality. This awakening is not dramatic on the surface. It is quiet, inward, and deeply personal. Yet, its effects ripple through every part of your existence. When the inner movement happens, nothing outside you needs to be forced. Circumstances that once resisted your effort begin to cooperate naturally. People change their attitudes toward you. Opportunities appear where there were none, and what once felt like struggle becomes effortless. The shift in awareness alters the vibration you send out, and reality, being responsive, mirrors that vibration in form. The law is unfailing. Change your consciousness, and your world must follow. The beauty of this truth is its simplicity. You don't need to wait for time or depend on luck. The shift can happen in a single moment of realization. The instant you decide to stop living from the old state and begin to live from the new. It may begin with a thought, a feeling, or a deep inner knowing that says, I am no longer who I was. That recognition alone is the birth of transformation. Every great change in life begins with this invisible movement of awareness. It is the silent turning of the soul toward truth. When your inner self awakens to its divine power, the outer world can no longer remain the same. Everything must adjust, for reality is compelled to reflect the consciousness that gives it life. The only true moment that exists is now. The past is a memory, and the future is a projection. Yet most people live trapped between the two, regretting what has been or anticipating what might come. But creation happens only in the present moment. The power to shape reality, to step into a new version of yourself, lies here and now. The present moment is the doorway to every reality you could ever experience. You do not become your desired self tomorrow. You become it the instant you assume the consciousness of already being that person. Every possible version of you already exists in consciousness. The person you long to become, more confident, peaceful, fulfilled, or successful, is not a distant dream, but a state of awareness available right now. The moment you align your thoughts and feelings with that state, you walk through the invisible doorway into that version of yourself. The outer world may take time to catch up, but the shift has already occurred within. Creation does not begin when the evidence appears. It begins when you make the internal decision to be. Most people delay their transformation by waiting for external proof. They say, I'll feel successful when I see results, or I'll feel loved when someone shows me love. But the universe does not work that way. The feeling must come first. The evidence follows. The present moment is your stage of creation. It is the place where you claim your new identity. You assume it not through force, but through acceptance. You enter the state of the wish fulfilled by feeling now what you would feel if it were already true. To live consciously in the present is to step beyond time. When you stop postponing your fulfillment and begin to feel it now, you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. The universe recognizes no difference between what is imagined and what is physically real. It only responds to the state of being you occupy. If you feel abundant now, even before seeing evidence, you have already crossed into the reality where abundance is natural. If you feel loved now, you have already entered the world where love surrounds you. The present moment is sacred because it is the meeting point between the invisible and the visible. It is where imagination becomes form. Every time you bring your attention back to now, to the awareness that you already are what you desire to be, you open the door wider to your chosen reality. The mind may wander to the past or drift into the future, but creation only answers to the consciousness of the present. So release the habit of waiting. Let go of someday and step fully into the now. Feel yourself as already complete, already aligned, already living the life you have imagined. This is the secret of transformation, not striving, but assuming. The present moment is not just a pause between what was and what will be. It is the eternal doorway through which all new realities are born. Faith is the invisible bridge that connects what is unseen to what eventually becomes visible. It is a silent conviction that what you have imagined, what you have accepted within, must appear in the outer world. Faith is not blind hope or wishful thinking. It is the unwavering inner knowing that creation is complete the moment it is conceived in consciousness. When you hold to that knowing despite appearances, you are exercising the greatest creative power available to humanity. Everything you see in your world today was once unseen. Every building, every achievement, every transformation began first in the invisible realm of thought and belief. Faith is what carries the unseen idea across the bridge into material form. When you persist in faith, even when circumstances seem unchanged, you are declaring that your inner reality is more real than what your senses report. And because reality must obey the command of belief, the external world will eventually conform to your conviction. The mistake many make is to let the evidence of the senses dictate their faith. They believe only when they can see, and thus they remain stuck in the visible, never realizing that seeing comes after believing. Faith reverses that order. It calls the unseen into existence by assuming it is already done. To have faith is to walk as though the result were already here, to feel as though the promise has already been fulfilled. This is not pretending, it is aligning yourself with the truth that the invisible precedes the visible in all things. Faith requires persistence. It is easy to believe when signs appear, but true faith holds steady even in silence. When nothing seems to change, when doubt whispers that it's not working, faith stands firm. This persistence impresses the subconscious mind with the certainty of fulfillment. The subconscious then commands reality to bend and reshape itself to match that certainty. The moment you stop wavering between belief and doubt, the creative law moves swiftly, for it has received a clear instruction. To live by faith is to live from the end, to occupy the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and refuse to be moved by outer conditions. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because in consciousness it already has. You walk as the person who possesses the thing desired, and life must mirror that identity back to you. Faith is the unseen hand that moves mountains, the quiet power that turns imagination into experience. This is why faith is not passive. It is creative action in silence. It does not beg or hope. It knows. It is the confident assurance that what is real within will soon be real without. When you persist in faith, the invisible substance of your belief begins to crystallize. Reality bends, events align, and the unseen becomes seen. Faith is the bridge between worlds, the power that makes the impossible inevitable. And so, as we come to the close of this message, remember this unshakable truth. The shift has already begun. Life is not waiting for your permission, it is responding to your awareness. The outer world bends to the inner state you choose to live from. When you dare to imagine boldly, to feel deeply, to believe unwaveringly, the universe reorganizes itself to honor that conviction. You are not a bystander in creation. You are its center. The power that shapes worlds is not somewhere distant. It is breathing within you now. Every moment you choose faith over fear, vision over doubt, love over limitation, you step deeper into the reality that is favoring you. So walk forward with calm assurance. Feel the quiet strength of knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Reality is not against you. It is for you, with you, becoming you. The shift is here. And it began the moment you awakened to who you truly are. Thank you for listening, and may you continue to live from the truth that reality always mirrors the power within you.